Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Welcome back to part 3 of throwing a bonsai pot at Isabella's. Parts 1 and 2 of this series were filmed on the first day, and then we let the pots dry overnight so the clay becomes leather hard enough that you can attach the feet and flip them over. So part 3, this part of the series, is filmed on the second day. Before we get into today's bonsai pot video, I'm going to show you what my wife and I collected this morning and how we got it home. So the truck is off the road for the winter, and we came across these giant skids. They're from a hot tub place, so they're big, so they fit the hot tubs on them. So what we do is we load them on the wagon here. You can see the wagon underneath. And then the giant skids go on top, and we take them home, and we go down the sidewalk and the streets. It's quite far away, so it's a bit of a walk, but you know, it does the job. Gets these giant skids home in the middle of winter. So here we go. We're gonna move it to the backyard now. A little further in, that's about it. Okay, let's unload the skids now.
Now be careful of my arch.
Yeah. I already see there's a mark in it.
Really?
Yeah. There we go. That's number 2. Big skid, number 2. Okay. So here's what you get from one of these skids. You get these 2x4s are 7 feet long, and you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Some of them aren't the greatest, like there's sections where it's not the greatest wood, but most of them are quite nice. Like this one, number 2, is just perfect there.
The one behind it might be metal. It might be 2 meters.
I see, okay. And here comes the last little skid. And this one's oak, actually. It has oak sides, which are really heavy, and I think the tops are oak too, aren't they?
I think so too.
Yeah, so it's quite nice. So my wife, she takes these apart with a crowbar and a hammer and a chisel, and usually they're not nailed together that well, so they come apart fairly easily, and you get all the pieces intact. They don't split or anything much. So yeah, so you get some good wood for free, and it's good to reuse this wood for, you know, construction purposes and that, rather than just people burn it usually. And they usually burn it in campfires and that, because it's not really a softwood, most of it, so you can't really burn it in fireplaces or stoves because it creates too much resin. So it's a good use of old skids. It was nice getting all that free wood this morning. So now it's back to bonsai pod making, part 3 of this series.
Okay, Nigel, so we're gonna do the trimming today. And first you need to, again, wet the wheel, but this time we're going directly on the metal wheel head.
Okay.
And here's my pot.
And you had to take the pins out because this pot is too big a diameter. It would interfere with the pins sticking up. So
the screws had to come off.
Screws.
So I'm using those circles on the wheel head as guides to find the center bag. You have to kind of basically recenter the pot.
I see.
So I'm checking. It's not quite, and it might be because it's not centered, or it might be because, you know, the positioning. So
Yeah.
gotta find a good spot. I find the best trick is to use a pin tool and just gently hold it, and now you can kind of see where this diameter is thinner and thicker. So I can move it slightly this way, and now it's still a little bit off.
Now, why are you using the?
Oh, now it's perfect.
Why are you using the metal plate instead of the?
It would just slide right off this. It wouldn't, because this this material is kind of like fibers that are compressed together. to absorb moisture, so it's made to not stick.
I see.
And basically we wouldn't be able to keep this onto the bath, but on the metal
It sticks
it kind of creates like a suction,
or something. I
so you
understand.
moisture it just a little bit, not too much, cannot be wet, but actually, like if it's a ball or something that's quite hollow, sometimes people don't even have to secure it with the clay bits. That what I'm doing right now is securing it,
I see.
because like experienced potters can just put it, and then the suction holds it so well.
I guess it is like a giant suction cup, isn't
Yeah, it is. But I'm always using the clay bits to make sure that it doesn't move around. So while I'm doing this, I'm holding the pot from the top, and notice how I'm pressing down towards the wheel head, not towards the pot.
Yeah, otherwise
Because-
you'll deform the pot.
Exactly, yeah. So I
I
have
see.
to dig out some trimming tools. So first I have to know what I want to do. Yeah, so what I want to do here is just take some more of the clay closer to the base and take a little bit from the bottom. Not too much, because I want the pot to have a thick bottom so that it can hold the tree well.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to make a foot on it, so it's just trimming this excess clay.
I see.
So I'm going to start with this white tool to shave off some of the excess clay from the top. To go again, see how I'm always on the right side? I'm not going anywhere near the left. You can basically just like go 3 p.m. or 3 a.m., 3 o'clock. You just slide
I see.
towards the 3 o'clock.
It really looks like a chocolate cake.
Mm-hmm. It's really satisfying to do that. So I'm gonna tap to listen, and I can hear that it's thinning. So I don't want to thin it too much. I think that's a good thickness.
I see. Okay.
And then I'm gonna move to the sides. This is a really sharp tool. I like using this one a lot. So see how now you can just like easily get rid of that
Yeah.
excess clay and taper it off a little bit more.
The perfect shape you want.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna soften up this edge here. It is more pleasant, and also it's a good place for the glaze to stop
I see.
when I glaze, so that I can attach my feet on this line here, and then there is a little bit of an edge
there.
undercut. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's about as much as I want to take off. Not really a whole lot, but we'll keep it nice and sturdy for the bonsai tree. It's different for like when you make dinnerware. I always want to make it as thin as possible, because it's people have hard time lifting
Yeah.
and holding heavy
Light
things.
functional, don't you?
Yeah, but for the bonsai pots, it's actually the opposite. You want it to be thick on the base, and
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, that looks really nice.
So you can use those circles as guides.
As references,
As a reference, just maybe a little bit more to the side also, like if you rotate the tool.
Like this?
Yeah. I like how you're supporting your hand. Oh, that's a smart move.
Otherwise, you're going to go up and down with the pot, right?
Uh-huh.
Is that enough? you
Yeah,
think?
so feel it with your finger now and see if there is those uneven bumps
Oh, I
if your
see. With
finger
the
jumps
rotating.
around.
Well, that feels nice.
It's pretty good. Yeah, nice.
Okay.
So now we can...
looks nice. I think that's a
Yeah,
nice,
very
beautiful
nice.
curve. Here's a look at the shape of my pot, and now we'll look at Isabella's. Here's Isabella's large pot. Turned out amazing.
All right, so we got some clay. We're gonna make feet for the pot. We get a little chunk of clay and then roll the clay a little bit to thin it out because it is a little bit too thick.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna flip it over and roll again, trying to make it even. So I'm gonna go this way. Because it's a big pot, I think it should be more thick.
Yeah.
So I'll probably leave it at this thickness.
That looks about right to me.
Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I'm gonna use the roller to make a straight line. I don't really have a set size for the feet because all my pots are slightly different. So
Yeah.
I just eyeball it. But I'm gonna start with a little bigger and then make it smaller. So if I want to make the stamped feet, now would be the time to stamp it.
I see. When it's flat like this.
When it's flat, and maybe before I stamp it, I'm actually going to
How many feet
rib
will
it.
you have on your pot? 4 or 3?
4, I think, yeah. I used to do 3, but I find that 4 is a nice balance. It looks good.
I find 4 looks better when you're viewing the pot. 3, you always get
It's
one
difficult.
foot that's facing forward and 2 that are on side on, and I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of, it never looks like the front is facing you.
So I'm just looking because you can see this design on the stamp on the
yeah.
other side, so you can see
Cool.
exactly where it's gonna be. So if I want to make those tippy toe feet, I'm just gonna press
Press it down.
And that's a good pressure.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do it 4 times. And on the other side.
And is this stamp made for clay working? Or?
No, it's
No.
just a simple scrapbooking stamp that I got
Okay.
at Michael's.
So it's normally does ink.
Yeah, but I never actually did any scrapbooking, so it went for clay. It's cool because you can get lots of different tools, use them for clay, and you don't have to spend a fortune.
And did it come with the clear block
Yeah,
on it?
yeah, it's like that.
That's
It was like
amazing.
$1 at Michael's.
That's amazing.
So if you go to specialty stores, it's $20 for
Yeah.
a stamp, right? And then here at Michael's,
There's something that does
I
the
mean,
same thing.
one thing to say about this is you can see that some of the clay gets stuck, so you gotta be careful. Now, before you use it, Nigel, we're gonna dry it
Clean it out
to
a
make
bit.
sure that, because if it's wet, it's more likely to crack. And to prevent it, you can put cornstarch on the clay, like if you're
I see.
using it a lot. But for the feet, it's okay to just use it
I see.
like this.
Trim it.
And then I'm gonna just cut them in half, and then eyeball it. My eye is better than ruler sometimes.
Still looks like you're making chocolates.
Yeah, I am making little treats. I used to do that when I was little, like just play with clay by the river, make little chocolates with leaves and pebbles. It was so fun. Height is probably too high, I would say.
I see.
And I could keep those outer leaves here actually. I think it's neat. Or I could do it more triangular like in my other pot.
Yeah.
So it's, there's lots of different things you can do. You can trim it a little bit. You could do it that way as well, depending on the design.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go for the triangular feet, so I'm just gonna use the design of the stamp to cut around. Use that as my guide, and make it a little bit smaller here from the top. So this will be somewhat like that.
I better start thinking about what I want now.
And I'm guessing you're probably gonna spend a while like making sure it's perfectly cut. I'm just eyeballing everything.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's imperfect. I like it when it's imperfect.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to find the spacing for them once I have them all out. Yeah.
I have to turn my head upside down to see it.
It's a chocolate factory.
Yeah, it's nice.
Handmade chocolate, limited quantities. Yeah, I think Laura would like that, Nigel.
Yeah. I think she'd prefer the chocolate over the pots.
Yeah. But you can eat a chocolate out of this pot. I mean, not that bonsai pot, but
fill it with chocolates.
yeah, I could fill
Truffles
it
or something.
with food. Make a salad. Let's see how that looks like.
I think the triangle feet really suit the tapered pot.
It does.
Because it flows, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're right. I like that with that shape.
It's like a continuous sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you had a different shaped foot, it might break it up. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting design for the Brazilian rain tree
Yeah.
because they are triangular too, or like, you know, somewhat they do get this oval around canopy, but I see a little bit of a triangle too in like in the way that they grow.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
So
angular, aren't they?
they are.
Zigzaggy.
Okay, so let's mark it up now. So now I know where my
You're going
feet
to mark
are.
where the feet are.
Yeah, I'm gonna mark on the edges. So just using my little wooden tool so that I can, you know, score in those sections.
Yeah.
Slip and score.
And this is the attachment part.
Yeah. I'm gonna use some of that slip we made on the wheel.
The glue that binds it in.
So you can see how it goes in between those grooves,
Yeah.
and then when it dries it holds it together better than if you just put flat surface to flat surface.
Right. It
So,
increases the surface area, doesn't it? Of
Yeah.
the contact point.
so I'm actually gonna score on the bottom of the feet as well before
Okay.
attaching them.
Okay. Just nice.
So I'm just pressing on this. I'm trying not to touch the stamp.
Yeah. Definitely looks the right thickness, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty good
Which is nice.
because my bottom is quite thick and heavy, so pretty good. Yeah, so the next step is to roll a little coil and fill in that gap here, because I'm not gonna do it on the outside because the stamp is there, so I'm gonna put some reinforcements here
Yeah.
just to make sure that those feet don't crack or come off during firing, and to make them more stable also, like for moving the pot,
Yeah.
because this would be a very susceptible part of the pot to knock off accidentally.
Yeah. Make it structurally stronger, wouldn't it?
So I'm gonna roll a little coil.
There goes the coil.
And just slip it a little bit on the side of the pot because it's rather hard there. Not too much. because the feet are wet. And then you want to press towards the pot first, and then be like go with your finger towards the foot.
Supporting the foot on the other side.
Yeah, and just like very gently
Yeah.
towards the foot, because the foot is still wet. So
Make sure you don't get any air in there.
and making sure I don't deform it accidentally.
Yeah.
So all this stuff I'll
Nice.
clean that up later.
Yeah. That looks really good.
For now, putting the coils. And this I go over and over and over multiple times until it's nice and smooth.
I see.
So right now I'm attaching it, and you'll see how quickly it will actually dry, because the dryness of the pot will draw moisture from the wet
Sucks it
clay.
out, okay.
Yeah, and because it's so small, it doesn't take long.
Yeah. Amazing how water transfers in within the clay, isn't it?
Yeah, it goes wherever is room.
Amazing. Just amazing.
You can also, like do different things with the feet. You can push them outwards, curl them a little bit if you like. So there's lots of options. Yeah, so are you ready to start on your feet, Nigel?
I think so. Yeah, that looks really nice. That's amazing.
So now it's the cleaning part.
I see.
Whenever there is like a little bit of slip sticking, I just use my finger to wipe it off. I'm now going to reinforce it on this side, but actually this little bit of slip is kind of filling in the gap nicely.
I see that. 2.5 centimeters.
We can put a little bit of cornstarch on it just to be safe.
Okay.
Might as well encourage good habits and
Show the technique.
people who use it, because I don't always follow the
As we
rules.
say, not what we do.
That's right. But the cornstarch, if you're using commercial stems, the cornstarch is gonna be great because it's never gonna suck. So you just kind of, you wanna spread it with your fingers,
Okay.
like this.
Just want to sort of did
Yeah,
a very
so
good
you
job
put
spreading.
some over your top of your finger.
Thin layer.
Now you're really making cookies.
Yeah. This is the sugar.
Icing sugar. Yeah, and that way it's not gonna stuck.
Okay, and I'll use the dry side, which is here. Okay, foot number 2. Oh, that worked really well.
It's much easier, right?
It came off just like
And the cornstarch is just gonna burn off, so there's gonna be no trace of it.
still clean.
After attaching it too, because they do get a little bit deformed on the top.
Yeah. Now, can I just sort of imagine? Yeah. Are they looking too tall, or?
I think they look fantastic. They remind me of the castle tower
Yeah.
and the flanks on top. Or a crown, you're making a crown.
It looks like a crown, doesn't it?
That's why I was saying it's like for the bougainvillea, because they're like queens, so they need a crown.
That's true. They're royalty.
Royal trees, that way.
I think a single hole would be fine in this pot.
Yeah, because you don't tie down your trees, so you don't need to
No.
tie down. Just use the fancy cookie cutter set.
Okay.
So you can use this
Yeah.
or this side, whichever size you prefer.
That's a good question.
One more.
I think I'll go with the slightly larger one.
Yeah, I usually use the larger one because they do shrink.
Yeah, and I think that's because there's only one hole. I think it's the perfect size.
So let's turn it the right side on,
Okay.
and then that way you can press against the
Should I
Do you
just flip
wanna
it by
lift it,
hand
or-
or?
If you want to use the sandwich method, then you can take off the feet and then...
I think I can
I
do
think
it.
it's sturdy enough.
I think it's sturdy enough, yeah.
Mhm.
I can just set it down like that. Then I use this size, and I'm going to find my center. I don't have to wet it or anything, it just
No.
goes in, yeah. Okay, and I just twist as I'm...
You can
Don't have
press
to
and-
twist, I can just turn the thing like
Oh, there
that.
you go.
Must be the bottom.
It's a big bottom.
It was quite thick.
Yeah.
There's my thickness, which is fairly,
It's about a centimeter thick.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's too thick, or it'll be all
It's
right?
quite thick.
Is it going to cause problems, do you think, or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it would cause problems. It's
not
just,
gonna
it's
blow
just
over in the
gonna be
wind.
heavy.
And then I
Which
know,
might not be a bad thing because it will make the tree more stable.
you break the edge. You can do it on the wheel like this. Is that what I should do?
If you'd like, we can try to trim it more if you think it's too thick.
Here's a shot of how thick the bottom of the pot is, so you can see it's a little too thick. So probably a third of that removed would be perfect. So I'm going to try that, taking it out from the inside.
It's coming up nicely.
It's looking good, isn't it? A little thinner, I think.
Yeah, keep going. You still have lots. Fantastic.
Like that. And a little bit of slip. Not too much. And I put the coil in here. And then I blend it in. Just blend that in. Okay, the feet are looking solid. Now, I want to determine the angle of the feet. Do I want to splay them out? I've got to kind of look at the pot. So the pot kind of has a bell shape, and then it comes up fairly vertical. So if they were splayed out a bit, I think that would look good if they're splayed out just a little bit. I think that's okay. That does the job. Okay, here we go. I'm going to flip it over for the first time. See how it looks. There it is. Looks very tall and elegant, doesn't it? It's on its tippy toes.
Polish it up.
I see.
I will be glazing mine, so I don't think I need to go too much.
Here we are at the end of the second day. The pots are all finished, so they've got to dry, and then they'll get their first firing, their bisque firing, and then possibly a glaze. So there they are. So I'll show you my one first. Mine's the tall one on its tippy toes. And here's Isabella's. Similar style, but definitely more planted looking. Both beautiful pots. You can tell they were both made together on the same
Yeah.
days. Like brother and sister or something. Awesome. Well, that's wonderful. Thanks very much, Isabella, for having me over again. And I really appreciated you teaching me everything and all your knowledge. It was fantastic.
You're welcome, Nigel. Thank you for inspiring me to make a pot for my Brazilian rain tree.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful.
I'm looking forward to
The rain tree is definitely going to grow into it someday.
yeah.
Yeah.